Very good to see you. I think it would be worthwhile if we just spent a bit of time together in the face of the fact that Facebook has removed two of our pages today, unilaterally, without warning and without any comment at all. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a surprise, but it was not at the same time, I guess, Mike, because we know that it's becoming a trend now that those who don't subscribe to mainstream views on a range of subjects are pushed out of the scene and cancelled. And it was the case now for X Out Loud on Facebook. And I heard as well also on the IFTCC, which is very disappointing because those voices need to be heard of men and women who left unwanted same-sex attraction and gender confusion, as well as the voices of professionals and pastoral workers who have been assisting a lot of individuals to assist them to live lives that bring them more dignity, more value, and more happiness. So it's just tragic, really.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's X Out Loud, it's the International Federation for Therapeutic and Counseling Choice. And of course, this follows several months after the removal of Core Issues Trust. So that's the three platforms that have been deplatformed. And this is, as you say, it's not surprising, and yet it's very, very disappointing. I guess this is about the whole notion of authoritative information. Having read the global report, or what is it? The global project against, help me out. It's the Global Project Against Hatred and Extremism. They wrote a report and sent it to some of the Irish newspapers, I guess, to get the attention of Google here in Ireland. And they are concerned to remove any group that doesn't provide what they call authoritative information. And this really troubles me because we have to ask ourselves who it is who is defining authoritative. And who it is who funds authoritative. And when you begin to explore, well, you find that there are funding bodies, including Google, if I'm not mistaken, who are funding these groups, which means that Google appears to be marking its own homework. So this is not something objective, surely. I find it very troubling.
Right, absolutely. And of course, I think this is a time for perhaps more conservative individuals to be thinking about how they can platform their message and just alternative ways to promote their message and their views, because clearly their message is unwelcome in on Facebook, at least, as we're seeing. And so yeah, I think it's time for us to create our own society, our own social media that cannot be controlled by people who disagree. And we see how freedom of speech is being threatened. And it's very damaging because it does not provide youngsters and people out there, different age groups, different backgrounds, with the full range of ideas and information to make up their own minds in an informed way.
I think what you're saying is really true. And I think what it's indicative of is the fact that, as with the mental health bodies in the United Kingdom, social media has been captured by a single viewpoint around this particular set of issues. So we have these monocultures that are being established, which disallow any kind of critique. The only kind of critique can happen within the broad framework, but a kind of paradigm critique is just simply not allowed. And for me, this is very undemocratic because there are no checks and balances.
Yeah.
So if it can happen with social media, as it has happened with the mental health bodies, then I think you're absolutely right. You know, it's never going to be the case that we persuade people to let us participate in their conversation because they have closed the door. So what you're saying, I think, is correct. The only way to go is to develop alternatives, and to develop, you know, structures, organizations, platforms that can function in a democratic way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Definitely, yes. And I think, you know, we just wanted to extend our love and thanks to all those who have been supporting and following both X Out Loud and IFTCC. We're really grateful for your constant encouragement. And we wanted to say that we're not going anywhere. But we also wanted to give an explanation as to why our Facebooks suddenly disappeared. We certainly did not remove them. Yeah.
And also, I think, Matthew, to express appreciation for the enormous amount of work and skill that goes into running these pages today. If anybody wants to do something that is remotely acceptable in an age when we are so visually attuned, well, so much work goes into these things, and people have tried hard to present their views and perceptions through video and through imagery and through careful editing. So I think we can be very thankful for all of the effort that has gone into these pages over the years. So I join with you. Thank you so much for those who have followed the IFTCC, have followed Core Issues Trust, and have followed X Out Loud. We certainly are not going anywhere, and I join with Matthew in expressing thanks and gratitude for everyone who has participated.
And that's so important, Mike, because you are absolutely right. These pages for us all were platforms where we shared memories, we shared our lives, we shared stories that were very sensitive to us and important for us. We shared information that encouraged and changed lives forever. And we know it because we were contacted. And we came to know these individuals personally. And so this is no small thing. This is no small thing what Facebook did to these communities. It is very damaging, and it's very destructive for Facebook to act in this way. But I think I like the fact that you mentioned it, because sometimes it's easy to just forget that. Hang on a minute. This is hours and hours and hours of work. And I'm just like processing this as we speak.
Well,
seriously.
and Matthew, no warning, no
warning,
no 3 strikes and you're out. Just
right.
Removed, and no doubt celebrated by some people in the country. But curiously, this is counterproductive to what this group of people say they are trying to achieve in terms of equality. This is not equality. This is the domination of one viewpoint. And what we are seeing being demonstrated is a society that is now, welcoming discrimination against perspectives. And there is no checking and balancing. There is no debate. The time for debate is over. And now what we have is a viewpoint being imposed. And I think what you said is really important. This is about a community. These are communities that are being disrupted and pulled down by people who really should know better, I would have thought. So, well, Matthew, we've said it, and I guess it's time to get on with new directions. And we're thankful for the opportunity to share and to state that we're not dependent on social media.
Yeah.
We're not dependent on any decision that is made against us. We will come back. We will renew ourselves, and we will continue to speak. So
yes,
thank you very much, everyone.
So in the meantime, you can find us on xoutloud.com and iftcc.org. You can find us on Instagram as well. Our pages are available there. Am I missing something, Mike? On YouTube, of course, but we're streaming live into YouTube. So follow us on these platforms, and I'm sure we'll have some news in the weeks to come by God's grace as well. So we'll share that with you guys. So stay tuned, and thank you for your love.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.